Hey, everybody. Just going to take a second here to get things all set up and moving. Make sure that we got this going. I think it's going. Turn this down. Perfect. Make sure I can see everybody's comments. Give people a little bit of a chance to pop in here. And beautiful. Welcome, everybody. It's really great to see you. Thank you, Lyndon. I am on Facebook. I made it. So I decided to do this through Zoom instead of a pop on live like I did in the car, which I've done a couple of times. I'm not, I still am learning techie things, but so this one seems to be most comfortable because it's what I do on Sundays. So it's easy for me to pull myself together here. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have a really touchy subject. It can be volatile. It's comprehensive, and there's a lot that goes into what's happening in our world today, but specifically things that have been under pressure for probably the last almost month now. I like to open up when I do my own private sessions, things that we do in class. I like to open up with a prayer or a declaration, however you want to say that. So I just am going to start with that. Defenders of truth, sovereignty, and liberation. Our cosmic pillars of justice and teams serving the Christos mission. Throughout the omniverse, I sound my crystal heart tone to you now. As we awaken from stasis and traverse the multiverses, I correct, clear, and integrate my body pieces, updating and upgrading my energy template. My alchemical container is consecrated to God and dedicated to the purposes of one. I endeavor to be a knower of God and to then become a way shower of God. Please sustain my light body frequencies and vibrations in the eternal power of my consecration. I ask for gatekeeping from the God worlds in order to sustain my mission. I open my heart fully and fearlessly, canceling all contracts and agreements that were made with beings outside of the pure Christ consciousness. Please resurrect all organic patterning in all bodies and in all combinations to the living light constructs. I am the cosmic sovereign law made manifest, for I am the eternal living light and divine Sophianic union. And so it is lovingly decreed. So for those of you who don't really know me, my name's Chastity Ann. I go by when I do live stuff. I have a mission, as many of us do, as a lot of us galactic warriors have a specific mission. Mine is part of the Christos mission. That's bringing Sophianic energies, bringing the true essence of Mother back to planet, and being able to reunite a hierogamic union within the planet and within each of us. So lots and lots of stuff. Let's see, back over a year ago, I did a show with some gals on the Megiddo battle. So I just briefly want to discuss, just start with the Megiddo battle. I'm not going to go too in depth, but it's basically a battle between the Antichrist and the Christ, or the human and the anti-human. And this has been playing out. It continues to play out. It's been playing out time and time again, century and after century. It's been playing out for thousands of years. And within those thousands of years, we're at the end of one of these large cycles. There are plenty of people out there talking about whether they be scientists or ufologists or what have you, how these cycles work. They're approximately around 26,500 years, give or take some time. There's a lot of information you can go out and look at to help understand what that is, help your body, mind, and spirit understand how to digest that information. So some of the information coming forward that I'm going to talk about is not going to be a surprise to some people. It will be a surprise to other people. And we're just going to move through it slowly, and I hope to continue talking on it. So the Megiddo battle has been a battle between dark and light forces. Well, we can say that as well. And we're seeing this on a planetary level. It's not just individual anymore. It's not just you battling your own darkness and how to ascend and move forward. These are patterns that we have in our body that everybody has in their body. And unless you're not human, unless you don't have an angelic template, then there's no battle because there's no soul, so to speak. So we're actually, I guess just to say, we've been under invasion, under control. And at the end of this cycle, we're waking up from the mind control. And because we're waking up from the mind control, it's creating a lot of discord, a lot of chaos, and a lot of people not really understanding what's happening. And because we've been able to be, thank you, I guess. Blessings. Okay. Hopefully I can be heard this time. Can you guys hear me? This is not a surprise. This doesn't surprise me at all. So, but like I was saying before I wasn't heard, is that I don't give up easily. I'm not going to give up easily. And I don't have a lot of issues staying in 0 point, which means I don't have a lot of fears. I don't have a lot of fears because I've overcome anything that there would be to be afraid of. And, you know, we think about what people are afraid of. And one of their biggest fears, one of humanity's biggest fears is dying. We don't really know what that looks like. We don't know what to expect. So many of us don't know if they're going to go someplace else, if they're die and they're done. So there are so many different factors that play into this consciousness. And because they play into this consciousness, we have an emotion called fear. And fear is, from my perspective, it is on the lowest level of the light spectrum. The highest level of the light spectrum is love. And these beings that control have been in control of the planet, the 5 pillars of society. They don't understand love. They can't achieve it. They don't understand it. And so we have been usurped. We've been spliced and diced. We've been mind controlled. And this is something, luckily for me personally, I've been partially awake since my incarnation here. So I've been able to see these things and understand them a little bit better. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect at it. And it doesn't mean that I don't still have work to do, because it never stops. The work never stops. And the information, a lot of the information, we still don't have access to. This is information about our histories. This is information about not just human histories, but our galactic histories, intergalactic histories. And when we begin to really understand how the universe works, it gets really mind-bending, because here we are in basically the third dimensional construct. The way I see it is a Luciferian construct. And so it's linear, it's Luciferian, and it's 3D. Then we get into satanic constructs. I see those more as like second dimensional constructs. Moving up forward, we get into higher dimensions. So we get into higher bodies, we get into where our soul evolution begins. That's in the fourth dimension. And then we keep going up into the spirit, into the avatar, moving into other dimensional aspects. These beings can't spread, they can't spread love, and they can't spread consciousness organically, pure Christ consciousness. So they try to replicate it. And this is part of what the battle has been. Many of us in the spiritual communities, the ufology communities, the off-hinged scientific communities understand the universe a little bit different than traditional scientists, traditional doctors. There's a different language, and that doesn't make anybody better than the next person. They're just facts, and they're just opportunities, I think, for all of us to get up to speed and expand our consciousness, expand into our soul and beyond. So I want to talk a little bit about, because it's the end of the cycle, the consciousness awareness of humanity is blossoming. We're moving into vibrational frequencies that are bringing us to the realization that we're more than just this three-dimensional construct. People are seeing more things that they've never seen before. We see UFOs all the time. We see ghosts, spirits, fairies. People have interdimensional conversations with beings on the other side. People are understanding a little bit more about what traveling looks like outside of the body. So understanding that our consciousness travels. This is more and more and more coming into view. And what we can see working in our immediate viewpoint is complete chaos. It's like we're living in the Truman Show, or perhaps an Alice in Wonderland movie, and this is all by design. We all are set up as biocomputers, and you guys have probably heard us talk a little bit, Colin and I talk a little bit about stuff like this. For those of you who take classes with me, we talk about this often. And for those of you who are into ES material, that we, are able to even go deeper with comprehension on this. And so when we begin to understand and awaken to what's happening, we can understand better that the chaos that we're seeing is a foundation that is currently crumbling. The foundation that our false societal pillars have been anchored in is falling apart. So there are grids in the planet and going out into the multiverse, and there are organic structures and there are inorganic structures. And we have been living in an upside down inorganic structure for many, many lifetimes. And that is falling apart. So this is really exciting. The chaos that we're seeing is really exciting. But what's happening is quite devastating and heart-wrenching for many of us. So many people have lost family members already. So many of us have already been ill and attacked. Lots of black magic attacks are happening because it's black magic that holds these grids together. And so those of us taking these grids apart are also being heavily attacked with black magic. Some of us, myself, I can share my own personal things. There are going to be some stories that I'm sharing for people, from people that just don't want to say who they are. And I completely respect that. And at the same time, I want their voices to be heard. So with what's happening in these Hmm. I'd like to find a really good word for it, but there just isn't. There's no word for what's being forced upon humanity. And what I would like to say is that I'm saying forced upon humanity, but it's a forcing that people aren't understanding. It is an invisible fence. These are invisible words. This is we have ourselves chained in an invisible zoo, essentially. And it's invisible because so many people can't see it, which means they're just going along with warnings, mandates, rules, regulations, these kinds of things. Thank you. Yeah, it is a severance from God. We've been kept from the true essence of God, which is one of the reasons why it's never spoke about that there's actually a mother. You know, you can't have one without the other. You can't have a father without a mother. And when all of this started, I'm going to get a little sidetracked, but it all kind of comes into play. When we were cut off, we were cut off from our own organic structures, and we were cut off from mother. And essentially, this sounds super brutal, but essentially, she was raped, chained up, ripped apart, blown to pieces, and bastardized after that, forced to create the atrocities that we're experiencing, forced to give birth to this in essences of these fallen pieces. And so what I find most glorious is that mother is back, and the remembrance of her brings great strength and wisdom. And when that's coupled with the organic aspects of God, it is immovable. It is so powerful. It is so profound that it is exactly what is making these inorganic structures crumble. They can't comprehend the profound levels of love, of frequency, of vibration, of true essence of the Christ, the Sophia. They can't handle it. And that's what they've been keeping from us. So what has been put in place is several ways, because they can see there's lots of technology. Some people have their own quantum technology, their own ways to remote view. This is organic to most of us. And it really gets refined when we're able to remove the lower vibrational constructs known as the ego in the body, and be able to move out of these lower vibrational constructs. And these are the constructs that are controlling the mind. These are the mind control constructs. So once we can break out of those, our high sensory perception, or HSP, comes online, and we're able to then begin to remember what's happening, breaking out of this fence. Thank you, Jules, my beautiful goddess. Solutions for Psychic Vampirism, Joe Slate, PhD. It's a book called Psychic Vampirism. I have not read that book, but I trust, coming from Jules, that it's excellent. So take a peek at that. We can overcome these. We are overcoming these. There are many of us that are embodying new templating for humanity. And that's not because it's unique to the people embodying it. I know that I'm one of them. I know that I work with several people who are embodying new templating. And it's new to us, but it's not new to us. It's new to planet from all of the traumas that have been happening. And it's some of the vastness of it has been unexpected. So we're really very grateful for the assistance and help we've had from our beloved families, our Christos families. For those of you that don't know, I work with the Emerald Order and the Solar Rishi. Not that that matters. but that's where my energy or background comes from. So these constructs that are being taken down, these are AI constructs. These are Thothian constructs. These are Kabbalistic constructs. These are base 10 math. And all of this is being demolished. The shadow body in the planet, the shadow bodies in each of us is all falling apart. And in order for these controller groups, these fallen angelics, these Orion gestalts, factions, they are doing what they can to keep their dark mother in place, to keep their anti-herogamic unions in place, so they can continue to keep us as slave planet, so they can continue to make money off of us and siphon our planet for the energies and essences that bring them great wealth. And one of the ways that they are doing that is by this new medical inoculation that is claiming to save the world. It's claiming that there's this massive, chaotic dis-ease that is killing everybody. And I don't want to debate whether or not that's true or false. What I want to look at is what I know to be true. And what I know to be true is that it's an AI construct. The thing that originally started to affect people is an AI construct. I see what it looks like. I see what it feels like. It's not organic. It's made. It's man-made, and it goes beyond being man-made. Some of the pieces from it, in my lensing and from my personal perspective, is not from this planet. So I have been witness to, I luckily was able to witness, see, I am by trade a massage therapist, and I do much more than massage because I see things as well. So being able to help body, mind, soul, spirit, and beyond. I help a lot of star seeds, work with a lot of star seeds and indigos. So I found out. And so being able to see firsthand when I'm in Washington State, I'm not afraid to tell anybody that. And so Washington State was one of the first places that had this AI bug show up, and it devastated a lot of our community here, which ramped up fear. And when fear is ramped up, people are going to scramble, and they're going to say, "Oh my gosh, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? What are we going to do?" And then comes mandates, lockdowns, these kinds of things. Meanwhile, in the first rollout of these inoculations, my teams, my galactic teams, basically said that I shouldn't be working hands-on, that it was not something that would benefit me, that it wasn't going to, wasn't for my highest good. And so what did I do? I thought, well, there are some people that A, I really like to work with, and B, they need help. And so this also is a program in us. It's a hero savior program. Like, I want to help somebody. So being really mindful when we're helping someone, are we helping them out of the kindness of our hearts because that is genuine to us, or are we being programmed to put ourselves in a dangerous situation? And are we looking for, I wasn't looking for notoriety or anything like that, but sometimes some of us are. They want to be noticed for what they did. I did it first. I said it first. These kinds of things. So be really mindful where you are, where your center is, and what your intentions are. Anyway, I was also quite curious about what this inoculation was going to look like. And boy, did I find out. I did hands-on 90 minutes, 90-minute massage for somebody who was inoculated, not once, but I did it through 2 inoculations, and saw the person a few times. The first time that I put my hands on my client, my hands and arms, all the way up to my forearms, went completely numb. They were heavy, they were numb. Hi, Joanne. And the things that I saw and experienced were horrifying to me. This wasn't a brand new person. This is someone I'd already worked with for 6 years. I understood their body. I was able to speak to their higher self, and so on and so forth. So aside from my own physical feelings in my own body, that was the first thing that I felt. And as time went on, I got heavier and heavier and heavier. I could not find the person's higher self. And so what I was told is that the soul is knocked out of the body. So I'm telling you, I saw this firsthand, and this wasn't the first time. Well, this was the first time that I actually saw it in real time. I was already told that this is what happened, or this is what was going to happen to people who did this. And so for me to actually see it was very disturbing. So there was no more contact. I couldn't find their soul anywhere. And so there was no connection there. The left side of the body was completely shut off, which means, I'm sorry you can't hear me, Joanne. I'll pause here for a second. Lyndon, can you hear me okay? And Jules, you guys good? Perfect, thank you. So the left side of the body was completely dark. The kidneys were detached from the body. They weren't communicating. And I saw what looked like a cytokine storm. I'm not a medical doctor, but my teams do give me feedback. So I am a medical intuitive, and I'm comfortable stating that. So I do understand the body on an energetic level, and so I do organically have medical terminology. But I'm not going to go too into that. I want to be as just basic as I can. So what I was hearing is that there is a cytokine storm. I was seeing the 9th chakra. This would be called the mouth of God, between the 9th chakra and the 10th chakra. Be completely distorted and attacked. The brain was not communicating the same. Cognitively, I could see that there was a disconnect because when our soul is not in the body, it's hard to communicate. It's very challenging to communicate. Whether you have a full embodiment of your soul or not is not relevant. The fact that your soul exists and is not knocked completely offline these are totally different stories. So anyway, at the time, my client had said, she felt fine. She was tired, felt a little bit not like herself, but seemed to be in good spirits and was every time, and actually still is today. But I never have seen this. I never saw the soul come back. And what I want to talk about next is what happened to me. So I got tired. I forget how long. I have it in a little, I have it written in several different places, but it was weeks before I even got my strength back from that, because it wiped me out energetically and physically. So my right leg actually began to fill up with spider webbing, and it felt like there were blood clots in it. I had pain in my lower leg, mostly in my right leg, some spots in my left leg. And my gums began to swell and they would bleed. And for me, it wasn't that bad in my mouth. It was more in my legs. And I did have cycle menstrual cycle issues. Now, what I have been doing for quite some time now is disconnecting from lunar frequencies, moon frequencies, so moon chain lineages, any goddess energies that are connected to these lunar energies, these dark mother energies, which many of us don't even recognize as dark mother energies. We look at them because they've been fed to us in a reversal, in a reversal program. So anything that is good, they actually they'll take that. These groups will take that and build it and then reverse it, flip it inside out, turn it upside down, and it siphons our energy instead of it creating a positive energy flow in the body. Lyndon, I remember you said she kept feeling she was forgetting. Yes, yep, that's right. At the beginning, the first shot, she was saying yes, she was forgetting some things. She didn't quite feel like herself, like some things were missing. But since then, she's been saying she feels fine. I don't see her anymore though, because of what happened to my body. It took a really, really long time. We're talking months. I've had headaches on and off, heart palpitations. But what's most curious is my youngest daughter, right after this. Her gums got so inflamed that they began to like move down her teeth and they were bleeding nonstop. Now, what I'm going to say next is really kind of gross, but I'm just going to say it anyway, because we need to know what's happening. The blood in my menstrual cycle, it smelled so horrible. I've never smelled anything more horrible in my life. And it smelled exactly like the blood in my daughter's mouth. That's disgusting. That's really disgusting. That these two energies, completely different places, my daughter didn't even come in contact with her. So that's telling me that whatever these proteins are that are being given off are airborne, okay? So that's discouraging and frustrating, but each time we come in contact with it, at least for my own body, it's been less dramatic. So once I was finally able to clear the leg, the only thing that cleared the leg for me is fulvic acid. And so I take fulvic acid internally, as well as do the best that I can to take other things when I'm called to do so. So coming in contact with people who have been inoculated will activate the discomfort in my leg, and then you can start to see some discoloring in the patterns here, as well as it'll attack my throat, increase headaches, and increase heart palpitations. What else does it do? We'll get like, it's happening less and less now, but we get symptoms as if we have what this is. So cold-like, flu-like symptoms. And what's most curious, the latest one, as it rolls out and thins out, I guess, are rashes. So there's an interesting rash pattern that happens. The first time I got the rash, it was extremely itchy. And it took maybe almost 2 weeks, itchy skin. Yes, it was itchy skin, but also for me personally, the first time, it flared up like bright red, not quite like hives. It almost looked like let's just say I thought for a moment it was what is the virus that we get? Shingles. It looked very similar to shingles, but not in the shingles pattern. So it wasn't really making sense to me. So I thought that was really curious. And now what happens is when I'm in a space where most everybody is inoculated, my throat goes crazy. I get a little bit dizzy, and I'm getting the same rash pattern, but it's flesh colored and not as itchy. So you can get like a bumpy skin, like a rash. It almost looks like it would be an eczema rash. And it stays for a while and then disappears. It's really very curious. So what I've noticed in children is it's causing some behavioral issues and lots of just regular cold symptoms. But you can see what I see with this specifically is that it is smart. It's intelligent. So this is the AI piece that it's attached to. So the people that have been inoculated, this is really knocking out the soul, and it is beginning to reconstruct the magnetic side of the body. This is the female side of the body, because they need the magnetic fields at a certain resonance in order to keep the mind control programming intact. And because they're losing ground on that, they need to create something that will reconstruct that. Well, that's what the inoculation does, is it reconstructs the magnetic field, which is also why they're using magnetic properties. I invite everybody to do research on this. There's so much information out there, and all you have to do is have the want to know. You just have to have the want to know, instead of, pardon me, but the ignorance to keep your head in the sand, because it's not going to help any of us, including the ones who are damaged from this inoculation. We need to get this information out there. It's not a theory. Okay, it's not a theory. These aren't theories. This is smart, intelligent process. It's done by design, and part of my understanding is that it will specifically look for certain lineages, especially starseed lineages, for various reasons that we don't have to go into right now. But it's like it hunts, and much like the red cube technology, it seems to multiply. And what I mean by multiply is it can multiply into other dimensional bodies. So, so for myself, who's not inoculated, and I get come across this, I have to go through different dimensional aspects of myself and make sure I'm not infected. So it takes quite a lot of work. Every morning we want to wake up and clear ourselves of black magic, because that's part of what's keeping this going. Okay, there are some other things that have come up. Very, very good friend of mine has her hands on people every day. Almost everybody that she touches has been inoculated. What is most curious about this is, with no prior signs, symptoms, or issues, she went into spontaneous menopause. Her body literally stopped producing the hormones that are appropriate for women. So she was super sick. She thought she had cancer. It was horrible. And when she went to the doctor said, it's like some kind of random event happened that threw you into spontaneous menopause. Huh, really? Wonder what that could have been. So we're drawing lines to figure this out. Another person I know firsthand knows three pregnant people who lost their babies. Three out of three. It does sound like sentient black goo, and there are some black goo aspects to this. Thank you, David. And thank you, Francisco, for sending love. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll take a pause just to say thank you so much. And I see Marissa has can you also talk about what it means for the soul to be detached and how the person continues on? Thank you. Yeah, I'll touch on that. Thank you for that. And again, more of what I share. I'm happy to share people's stories, and some people sent stories into me, but also for my own lensing. So, which I think is the most important because I get to witness it firsthand. And each of you are actually witnessing things firsthand that aren't making sense. And I want us all to be able to put these pieces together and to share them collectively, because it's important for us to use our voice and the new codes coming in for our voice to be able to get the message out, to continue to override their system. Truth will override lies. Always, always, always. The truth is going to override the lies. So this friend of mine who went into spontaneous menopause, I find it most curious because she doesn't talk about any of her views spiritually or politically or anything, but she is a really big influencer. I won't say in what, but she's a big influencer. So much so that people have come to her and have offered her $1,500 a post to promote this insanity, to promote this inoculation. She's not going to do it. But if we want to get to the bottom of any type of conspiracy, all we have to do is follow the money. And we know one of the 5 pillars of society is big pharma. Big pharma, big pharma, big pharma. I'm calling you out. What set me off yesterday, you guys saw me cry. So when I'm really mad, I cry. And the fact that I was bringing something, I think, publicly and using my voice to override and transmute the news that we got yesterday, boy, that was an override, I'll have to say, because knowing that they want to take this is going to go into Marissa's comment about knocking the soul out, knowing that they want to take this and knock the soul out of the body and control our children. What are they building? What are they building? We already know that Lucifer's been here building his little Enki armies, his little droids. And the younger that they capture our souls, the longer they get to siphon them and the more control they have. It reminds me of Hitler's youth, really, being able to control. But this is a mind control where they're actually physically remote controlling devices in the body. I don't think they've been able to knock our souls out like this before, aside from demonic possession, which unfortunately people fall into. But this goes into having an entire planet the way that they want it, just like they have other slave planets. I know many of you know about Mars projects and other slave planets where they have actual humans and other beings taken to mine different their slave colonies. And we're a prison planet here too, a different type of slave. I'm not going to say it's any better or worse. Thank goodness, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not a slave on any of those other planets. I should double check though, huh? But what happens when the soul is knocked out of the body is anything can come in and use your vehicle, having access to your DNA. Our blood is extremely extremely important. This is where all of our histories are. This is where all of who, what, where, why, when, how, this is where all of our information is stored. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA. And this is what they have been desperately trying to replicate. Okay, we do really amazing things as human beings. We open stargates, we do really cool shit. They can't do it without us. So they try to replicate it. And I have seen firsthand a family member very, very close to my heart, very close to my heart, soul has been knocked out of the body. And to get at me, I have seen various entities jump into that body. And it's not fun to witness. But what's happening is they're using the vehicles in order to be able to hopefully put in one of their own peoples and be able to take over that vessel. And from there, figure out the rest of their nefarious scientific, if you can call it science, scientific projects. So it's pretty awful. Whoever controls the mind controls the soul, and now they're able to knock the soul out to even like anchor their little plan in a little bit further. So there is good news. I do know of teams. I'm sharing this secondhand. Teams that are rescuing souls that are being knocked out. Then when I go in and view this, what I see is that the souls are being held until the bodies are dropped, which they will be dropped. And then they will be ushered to a safe, non-linear place to continue soul evolution, which is very important. So I hope that that brings some comfort to people. Also, I have seen on the soul subject, I have seen some very powerful star seeds. I've only seen one, perhaps two, maybe three, that aren't quite awakened to all of what this is. And are any of us really truly awakened to all of what this is? I mean, I think some of us are awakened to a really big piece and really big pieces, but all of it, I don't know any one person on this planet that would state that they're awakened to all of this. So there are some very powerful starseeds that aren't awake at all. But because of the power that they hold within, they have kept intact some soul fibers. I call them light fibers. The way I see it, it was the first time I saw it. It was probably the most exciting time, that exciting thing I've seen in a while. I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We're seeing a piece of the soul. We're seeing a light fiber. So we're going to call that back in. And so while I do not recommend, I'm not recommending this to anybody to get the inoculation, but I have taken comfort in that there is hope for some of us who hold great light to be able to keep our souls intact, as well as I see some new coding coming into planet to override some of the damage. Some of these are going to be in walk-ins. Some of them are higher self walk-ins, and some of them are just walk-ins in general. We can talk about what that is another time. But I do want to share some beautiful things that people have reached out to share with me. Let's see. I can't find all of what these are, where these are. Okay. somebody sent me a beautiful message that in their awakening, and she's been experiencing a loss of friends, and she's been able to stand and hold her ground. And she works in a university. And when we work in anything that is university, whether that be a university hospital, a university school, anything that is in one of these 5 pillars of society, it is very, very challenging to keep your mind free of infiltration and to allow your soul to soar and to be able to connect to spirit. And, there are so many people that are being awakened to this, and they're getting it in the form, and this person specifically, but this is happening to many people, getting it in the form of an email. If you don't do this, then you're out of here. That means you lose your job, which means how do you feed your kids? How do you pay your bills? Where are you going to live? People are facing these real hard truths, and, they're losing their contracts, and they, in many instances, I know in Washington State, that's already like done. People already had to do what they had to do. We've had police officers, nurses, teachers, and the like walk away because they were denied any type of exemption. And so there are some people that in this particular case, they're not having to give notices yet. So, she's saying we're keeping our cards close, we're playing things carefully, and trying to buy time. And that's really what this is, right? This is a war over timelines. This is a war over time. They want us back on the timeline that they want us on, and we're digging in our heels. So thank you for everybody out there that is holding the line. It's so important. And if you want your story shared and you're not prepared to come out, please share your story with anyone who will help amplify the truth, because it's going to be by standing up against this tyranny. It's reckless. It's reckless tyranny, and it is crimes against humanity. And even though there are so many naysayers out there that this is a crime against humanity, that this is not a crime against humanity, and that those of us who think that, or that those of us who are affected are have gone mad or are conspiracy theorists, it's almost like being a conspiracy theorist is a badge of honor anymore, because I just want to know, like, where are people, where is the integrity of people? And, it's the ones that are holding the line, holding their cards close, absolutely saying, no, not on my time. Not on my time, this doesn't happen. And that goes into part of what they need is our children, and they need our children's bodies for a very profitable drug that they use, and that has been used for centuries. And they're losing that. They're losing their satanic ways. I think that you guys, many of you know, we're in the middle of a high holiday, I think they call it. It's some type of satanic ritual stuff that started, I believe, it starts tomorrow. It goes all the way through November 1st or 2nd. You guys can look up a satanic holiday calendar and see for yourself. This is going to be about, they start with sexual abuse and orgies, and they go into blood sacrifice and the like. So just, I do not consent. I do not consent, and we're taking back the power and authority of our children. Why do they want our children? Well, has the most powerful drug in our children. as well as the longest opportunity to be able to control the spirit from there. A question came in about what happens with sexual interaction with somebody who's been inoculated and somebody who's not inoculated. And what I'd like to share is from my lensing and from my perspective, I have seen, again, some very powerful light holders, some very powerful star seeds be able to use their own coding to override damage to their own body. So they're not necessarily healing or helping the person who's inoculated, but they are able to protect themselves with a frequency that this AI construct cannot hold on to. I hope that makes sense. So when we have embodied the soul, we've embodied the spirit, we're working in higher dimensional realms, we carry a different vibration and frequency. These come with colors, sounds, also comes with levels of high sensory perception. And oftentimes people will see different codes come in geometric shapes, these kinds of things. And so from my personal lensing, whether it be from a client or people that I trust that are sharing their stories, high frequency vibrations are able to neutralize the damage to the inoculated person. I'm also going to say that with a grain of salt, because there could be somebody who's populating and inoculated and inoculated. And I want people to be very aware that this AI frequency is smart. It will latch on to fear, guilt, shame, miasmas, traumas. It will latch onto it, and it's not going to let go really easy. So it does infest the body, and it does go into the light body. And if there are traces of anything that you've not cleared out, and again, I'm going to ask, who on this planet has cleared everything from all their timelines? So it will find as high level as it can go, the dimensional level that it can go, and it will latch in there of miasmas and traumas that have not been cleared. How are we going to clear these out of the body? Well, this is about clearing timelines. A lot of us, again, are undergoing templating for bringing multidimensional templating, different aspects of body. Those are other things, you know, we can talk about another time. We've been on for about an hour now. I don't want to keep you guys too long. So raise your frequency. How can we raise our frequency? With thought. So with thought, and then also balancing our emotions, being in control of our emotional body, being in control of our mental body. Something comes into our realm, we say, is this mine or not mine? And where did it come from? Also eating high vibrational frequency foods, staying away from, you know, packaged foods, prepackaged foods, foods with pesticides on them. I know that's really hard to get true organic foods these days, but to the best of your ability, eat high vibrational foods. Those are going to be things that are light and bright, full of color, not in a package. Drink clean water. You can distill water yourself. You can clean water yourself. You can whisper into your water that you love it. You can whisper. Water is going to hold and carry a frequency. You can put crystals in it. You can use, make sure you can ingest the crystals. Some crystals are poisonous. So do some research before that. David is saying the pure essence frequencies cannot be adulterated, but our links to them can be disrupted. Yeah, they can. They can be very disruptive. Let's see. Yeah, so holding high vibrational. There are some things that that concern me, aside from the black goo, aside from the graphene, aside from the multiplication. There's also I'm going to call this a rumor because I've not viewed it myself, but I can feel the frequency there, and that would be having HIV in the serum. So how that is compromising the immune system of people. Some of what we're seeing for people who are inoculated is getting really tired. They're getting really tired, getting sleepy. A lot of people, unfortunately, are having their animals, especially like if you have pet rodents, things like that, they're passing suddenly or aging quickly. We're seeing more funguses in animals and on people, like ringworm, these kinds of things, parasites in the intestines. So understanding where these frequencies come from and how they manifest in the body. So keeping the body clear of these things. What else were we going to talk about? I think that we covered quite a bit today of some signs and symptoms that I wanted to share one of my friends, his son was unjustly inoculated. So the other parent went behind his back, and his son was inoculated. And it's interesting because he hadn't known it, but was having symptoms of transmission happening. And he's like, well, that just isn't making any sense. Why would that happen? And come to find out, his son was inoculated. So these symptoms aren't in your head. The things that happen, the fact that, my leg got backed up. It's interesting because he actually had the same kind of, he said, I feel like there was a blood clot in my leg. And he had pain associated with it, was having pain in his heart. And so I'll just say this, when the bad guys go for some way to get rid of people, they're not going to show up, with handcuffs or, guns, so to speak. They understand how the energy body works. They understand how we work and how our consciousness works better than we do. So it's like time to wake up. It's time to wake up, because this will attack your weakest points. It's going to attack your weakest points. If you have a weak heart, it's going to attack your heart. What does your heart mean? Heart is, our access into the God world. So, we want, this is the access into our soul. This is access into a lot of timelines that they've kept in control, like the Egyptian timelines. For thousands of years. So, without having our souls in our body and or not awakened, we run across a lot of hurdles. And so we want to be able to stay in our 0 point, in our heart centers, keeping ourselves as neutral and focused as possible, being calm. We're going to see more upheaval. We're seeing more and more people having the effects from this injection. So we're seeing more car accidents. We're seeing more attacks, not just energetically, not just with black magic, but verbal attacks from people in our people we work with, people in family. More and more relationships are being severed. This is part of part of the dark night of the soul on a planetary level, not just personal. So it's getting pretty epic. It's going to be pretty epic. And some of the things that we're witnessing is challenging for those of us who have been awakened to this for years. It's very challenging to witness because we're thinking, when is it going to stop? And unfortunately, it's going to take just a couple more things, I think, for some more people to wake up, to continue to override what's happening. Remember, this is the Antichrist against the Christ, or the anti-human against the human. And, you know, don't want to spoil anyone's fun, but God wins. So we have that to look forward to. Linden, kidneys and adrenals, great fatigue and core energy goes down. Yeah, it's attacking the liver. So the filtration system moving right into the kidneys and adrenals. You know, we're going to probably see adrenal fatigue before we notice anything else in the body. And also, you know, blood clots for, I'd say, just about everyone who's gotten this. So in their organs. Yeah, it's pretty devastating to witness, but I do have faith that we're going to be able to heal from this. Aside from the walk-ins that are here, and aside from the energetic assistance that with people who are embodying more frequency, vibrations, different templating, I do believe that there is going to be something that is going to heal people. Unfortunately, you know, I think there's already been great loss. We are going to continue to see some of this loss, but for those that make it, we're going to be noticing more and more autoimmune disease, cancers, these kinds of things, and have the tools to be able to deal with it. So, well, I'm sending you guys each so much love. If we just every day wake up in the morning, clear black magic. Before we go to bed, clear black magic. I can post in the feed here something that I posted a while ago, just to do a basic black magic clearing, and continue to open your heart to the mother energies coming in. Open your heart to the Christ Michael and feel the organic embodiment of all of the beauty that we do have coming into planet. Staying in our heart, staying in 0 point, being at focus with controlling our emotions, and honoring the choices that people are making for themselves, but still having a voice. It's very important that we share the knowledge that we have as authentically and organically as we can. So thank you each for being here. I appreciate every one of you, and I'm sending you so much love.